guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara East. I'm a writer, blogger, YouTuber, and the author of the mystery novel Every Time He Dies. And in this week's video, I want to talk about social media and writing. So whether you're an indie author or traditionally published, we all feel the pressure to be online, producing content, and cultivating relationships with our audience. Most traditional publishers will want to know what your numbers are. And by that, I mean, how many followers do you have? And if you don't have a public author profile, they'll want you to set one up. I have seen examples of traditional authors who either don't have a social media account or they do, but it's totally inactive, just as a way to safeguard against people pretending to be them, or their accounts are run by the publisher themselves. But these three examples are actually pretty rare, and it's likely that the authors only got away with this behavior because their books were mega sellers. And how did they become mega sellers? Well, because the publisher ran a massive marketing campaign. Of course, there are examples of heavily marketed books that failed despite the big backing and big budget of a major publishing house. And there are also examples of indie authors who went from obscurity to lucrative full-time earnings because their platform suddenly took off. Social media can be powerful and it can work for you, but there is no guarantee. And the same goes for traditional marketing too. We're attracted to building social media platforms because it's within our control. And we're attracted to traditional publishing because they offer support, experience, research, and a network. But note, even with all of this, sometimes a publisher still can't guarantee that a book will be successful. What sucks though is when a traditional publisher asks their new or mid-list author to develop a platform. Because here's the thing, it's actually not that easy to build a big, engaged audience. Plus, it's a massive time suck. Looking for content to repost on Twitter with a summary sentence or a witty comment, replying to other people's posts and creating stories and finding your balance between 80% sharing and 20% promotion. And as a side note about the 80-20% rule, that's just what some person on the internet said. All this stuff takes time and energy. And the problem is, time and energy, these are two resources we could be using for our writing, which is the activity that led to the product we're trying to sell. And let's be honest, if you don't have a public author page at this point in time, it's probably because you don't want one. And if you don't want one, but feel pressured to create one, then you're probably not going to be very good at it. Some indie authors have only been able to survive because of their platforms. Authors such as Jenna Moreci, who in fact is a great example because she's someone who has broken every rule in the indie author handbook. But if you go into a bookstore or talk to a bookseller, they'll probably tell you that everybody who comes into their store gets their recommendations from newspapers, radio interviews, or because a friend recommended the book. Now, this trend may be because the bulk of buyers who still go to physical bookstores consume this type of media, whereas the bulk of people who buy online look to podcasts, YouTube videos, or social media profiles for recommendations. I don't know, but I think it's a relatively safe assumption. It's very difficult to track how many followers convert into buyers online, but I have heard other people say things like 40,000 followers can translate into about 2,000 sales, at least during a launch. But again, every platform, artist, and business model is totally different. The one thing that all those business marketing courses, free videos, and blogs online fail to tell you is that convincing a stranger on the internet to buy your stuff is bloody hard. You can work on your know, like, and trust factors. You can put a funnel on your website, develop an email campaign, and do every other step recommended out there on the interwebs, and there is still no guarantee. You can do everything you're supposed to do and not achieve the results you hoped for. But that's not to say that you won't ever experience success. You just need to find the model that is right for you. And look, sometimes you just gotta give stuff a little bit of time. The whole point of this video is not to arrive at one tidy conclusion backed by a step-by-step action plan, but to show that there is no guarantee of failure or success, no matter which way you go. Social media is one way to promote your books and yourself as an author, but it's not the only way. The best way to approach this aspect of the writing life is to have an experimental attitude and to find the methods that work best for you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Are you an author with a public profile page? What's your experience been with engaging with an audience and producing this content? Do you enjoy working in this space, or does it feel like a burden? Please leave a comment below because I'd really love to know. Now, if you'd like even more writing advice, you can, of course, check out the other videos on this channel, or you can visit taraeast.com and dive into the archives. While you're there, please consider joining my email newsletter, because when you do, I'll send you a free gift and you'll receive a newsletter in your inbox every single Thursday morning with links to that week's blog and vlog, a little letter by me, a quote for the week, some juicy resources I've discovered, as well as some other little tidbits that I only share via email. Thank you so much for being here this week again, guys. I really appreciate it. Stay safe, stay calm, and keep writing, because the world actually does need more books. See you next week.